Daily Brief 5 by 5 Faith, Family, Friends, Fitness, Finance, Purpose, Planning, Patience, and Persistent Perseverance. It's very important that I continue to connect with you all because there's so much that I like to share and continue to, if you will, expose and build with everyone in the ways that I like to reveal that's helped me get to where I'm at, and even help others get further than where I'm at, even if we don't have access to the if you will, the education, the institutions, the many resources. What I want to be able to offer. Welcome, Shippy. What I want to also be able to offer is a continued voice of hope in times where many people, because of their complications of daily life, tend to experience a lot of feelings of hopelessness. The run-of-the-mills, the daily, the mundane activities, it doesn't seem to make us feel fulfilled. So I wanted to start with a question which I had gotten from someone, and it was this was South AC Native, and this was my recent post, and he said that I feel like more techniques need to be explained or exposed systematically or with more structure. And there were obviously a lot of followers that I'm gaining, which I'm at 2,500 now, which I think that's pretty awesome. I appreciate everybody who is, being intrigued, who wants to know more about their own self-awareness, about the universal mind, consciousness, mind of Christ, right? We're talking about different mystery systems in schools. We're talking about what the ancients taught, and the information hasn't gone anywhere, and we all have access to it. It's just been this, again, mystery, if you will, this inability for people to access the information. And so this inability to access information over years is what's caused so much frustration. So I just kind of broke it down in summary. The question was, balancing the chakras. The chakras were very, are embedded within us. Everywhere we go, there are these energy centers. The chakras are from, our base all the way to our crown. And we are always, if you will, stimulating them or not. Now, the balance of it is through different activities. Say, for instance, if we are sleeping, or we want to go to sleep, we need the pineal gland to be actuated. So we have to close our eyes, because when the sun or light, when we're exposed to that, it stimulates the pineal gland and causes for it to produce more serotonin. When we close our eyes, or when darkness sets in, or if you will, any type of darkened state or shadowed period, then melatonin will be produced, and that causes for us to become more tired or sleep induced and We have different sensory experiences that come with that. So there is a chakra that overlays, or energy center that overlays the pineal gland. So that is with every glandular function throughout our body. With all of these chakras, we want them to be producing in a healthy function. Now, cancerous conditions such as within the pancreas, within your thyroid, and different glandular functions, right, is produced when there is a level of illness. So your chakras, when they're off balance, when you're ill, the illness is a result of those correspondences, which is why in my book I speak very much with regards to correspondence. So, as I was continuing in answering this brother's question here, and he asked, how did I, or how have I continued to progress? It's been a series of processes and, if you will, techniques, which is this idea of self-mastery. And the techniques are not just encapsulated in one spiritual, religious, or wisdom tradition, which is why when we close ourselves off mentally to any specific belief system, right, or knowledge source or base, then what happens is we convince ourselves of our inability to grow. And once we put ourselves into one streamline based belief, then we are really mentally limiting ourselves. And in that limitation, we cannot access different levels of information, the mind, the universal mind. So in that, the ability for us to problem solve also gets reduced. A lot of the questions that I get relates to actuating the Kundalini through the use of psychedelics, and through the programs that I manage. We really advocate harm reduction. And harm reduction is this idea that one individual or groups of are going to access those coping skills that might be harmful to them because they don't have access to the medical care, the mental health counseling, or the support systems which they really could benefit from. So it might come in the form of street drugs, alcohol, things of that sort. So the support that we provide, or I would provide, is not free. PlayStation 5 is waiting. That's interesting. I don't need one of those. The support that might be accessible just truly isn't. And so what I like to do is not talk down, berate, or dismiss someone who could really benefit from the support that I can provide, to include what they're already doing. Because if you pull alcohol away from somebody who is in fact an alcoholic, then they'll go into what they call delirious tremens, right? DTs, and that is a fatal condition if they don't have the right medical attention. So again, harm reduction. Now, on the other side of that, there's an education, there's a supportive process to engage in and support everybody into getting to a stage of improvement, enlightenment, and all of this. And that's really where you will find someone who is on this journey of enlightenment, on the journey. I don't name myself to others, if you will. Now, that is the humble side of me. And in that humble aspect and humility, I walk side by side and meet people where they are and make sure that if there is any sense of mastery, it is only a mastery of myself and not this idea that I have the ability to master others. Because that's called control. And I think the world has really been subjected to the control of others for too long. And it's really been to the detriment of civilizations and this idea of supremacy and this idea that the masses need to be controlled. So the complications that we experience and the answers that we are seeking are really the answers that we're looking for to heal ourselves from within because of the past traumas and experiences and the fears that were imposed upon us because of those experiences, and how we can reduce us reoffending others and importantly ourselves so that we can lessen what in layman's terms some would be the karma that we continue to repeat through our own actions, not the just spiritual based stuff, but typically that which we take on, we look to extend once again in the idea of revenge and the natural law of reciprocity. The love that you receive, you learn to reproduce, whether that be in a negative or a hateful form, right? Because it's on a scale. And these are the correspondences of the universe that a lot of us don't entirely understand. These ideas of what goes around, comes around, and so on and so forth. On earth as in heaven, and as above, if I'm saying that right, because I got distracted. Sorry. As above, so below, and so on and so forth. So the point that I'm making is that this idea of awareness is important. Otherwise, and this deals with self-mastery and consciousness and coming into a state of being and learning these, if you will, universal laws, systems, the cycle of life and how it revolves within. Say, for instance, if you look at the basic atomic structure of things, everything revolves. That's why this whole flat earth theory it's not going to work, because cycles of life aren't flat. They're not linear. You can have linear thinking, right? However, linear life just isn't reflective of universal cycles and systems. That's why there has to be an element of science which coincides with spirituality. And you can prove one with the other. So, again, once we really break outside of the beliefs that we've been feared into accepting, then we'll be able to become more conscious of our consciousness. And that's called introspection. We're thinking about ourselves and our place in whether it be our families or society, how we understand and are able to focus that attention to improve our ways of life, our relationships, and those things around us, especially our environments, and most importantly, ourselves. So the first step towards being woke is understanding how asleep we have been. And by sleep, I mean unaware, and understanding that in that lack of awareness, there are a lot of aspects of ourselves that we have not been aware of, such as, again, the functioning of our brain. And Gayla! Hi. I've been sounding like I know what the hell I've been talking about, or not. It kind of really depends on, the perspective of the listener. But what I've been talking about has been becoming more aware and self-conscious. And there's a conscientious piece of this also, and that is really just how we affect one another and those around us in nature and so on and so forth. But most importantly, the questions that I've been getting a lot of is this idea of consciousness, awareness, spiritual growth, and whatnot. And a lot of people who have been coming across my posts have asked me about psychedelics. I'm getting back to that real quick. And the use of drugs. Hey there. Is that Ava or Aiden? Who is that? It just says, hey, uncle number 2. I got so many nieces and nephews. You got to type your name in there. Which is it? Both of y'all? Never mind. I ain't gonna put it on blast. I don't. No, it's just me. Okay, Gayla, I got you. I thought the babies was with you. They ain't babies no more. But I'm putting all this neuroscience and all this stuff out there because, okay, the girl said hi. Tell them that I love them and miss them, and Mike Lowry will be there in no time. But I'm getting back to the subject matter at hand. I've been trying to simplify all this neuroscience and clinical psychology and all of this Masters of Divinity work that I've been doing, so that we can understand how magnificent we are beyond just simply trying to go out, get a job, survive, right? Because when we see people bringing in income in the tens of millions or in the billions, right? Or doing great things, right? Like one of my favorite sports figures is Lewis Hamilton, and he races Formula One cars, and he races for Team Mercedes. This is his brother, one of the best drivers ever, and he's just always winning. And some of the questions are just like, how does he do it? It's number one, because he's been focusing on his skill and developing that skill for his entire life. And this idea of being able to focus and being able to bring one's attention onto a specific task long enough to accomplish the best portions of that task, and be thorough with it, is an ability that we have. But just imagine if we were able to do that repetitively on any task that we chose, right? That would be a superpower. It's actually a guy in the Marvel Universe, and his name is Taskmaster. Anyways, he might be coming out in the movie. But the point that I'm making is being able to tap into the universal mind is a ability that we have, but we deaden that ability based upon what it is that the traumas that we receive, right? The beliefs that we adhere to, and our inability to progress in our lives. Meaning that if we are simply surviving, we have no time to think about this introspective idea, the ability to expand our mind. Say, for instance, if you are a basic Nintendo, all you know is Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt. However, the processing power of Xbox 5 is doing all of this Minecraft stuff and tapping to the internet and doing everything while the dog is laughing at you because you can't shoot him with the little plastic gun. Okay? You're getting left behind because you've yet to improve your processing power and tap into the internet. There is a great internet out there. And the reason why I'm drawing this comparison is because all of these computer-based models were designed after the human, biological, and greater mental universal system. They didn't just come up with this stuff back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s and try to sell it to you. It didn't come out of nowhere. And the idea behind it were DNA modeled systems. And then they recognized that the universe was that we were a reflection of the universe. And they said, okay, so if we have this mind, then there must be a greater mind that we can duplicate. And then they said, the internet. Let's plug all of these computers into one another and have them share information. And this is the human greater universal mind. We're all sharing information. And so this ability for us to share information, when we get an idea, it's a great idea, right? However, it came from somewhere. Some will call that the God mind. Some will call that the mind of Christ. Some will call that the universal consciousness. It's taught within different mystery systems, the Sufis, the Essenes, in different mystery schools, and other Buddhist temples and things of that sort. However, we get compartmentalized and we want to fight about who had it first. Well, no one had it first. How could anyone have had it first if it existed in the universe, existence? And then we want to fight over, well, what did it appear like? Did it look like a man? Did it look like a woman? Did it look like transgender? And then we're fighting about these appearances, which only last at most for 120 years. Where yet existence has been here for I don't know how long, and it really doesn't matter, because it predates and outdates you and I. But we're here to share it. Some would think that I'm thinking crazy. No. This is the reality of existence as taught through the ancients. And there was one point where all of this was shared, and it wasn't just at the top of the pyramid, right? In the way that it is now, where the most educated, or if you will, most informed, retained it and locked the resources, most importantly, the information, and shared it amongst themselves to ensure that they would be able to control the masses and create a system of function in the way that you see now. Because it didn't always look like this. So there are some who are able to grasp, understand, and teach, and want to teach. And then there are others who want to hoard and control and edify and just rise to the top. And that's when it comes to these different allegories and tales and things of that sort. So, the point that I'm making is, some people want to know, some people reject, and then some people can't know. And I'm not saying that some people can't know because of the control of information, but rather because the processing power is just going to stay at the Nintendo level or worse, because of the traumas, the genetic abnormalities or dysfunctions and things of that sort. And then it goes on to the next generation, because we all have it in our family story. There are some people who just haven't made it, unfortunately. Which is why it's so important for us to continue to nurture our relationships and be loving and caring toward our children and our family, and not extend the wounds which we received or the hurt that we received onto others who will be responsible for this work and greater work in the future. I hope this hits home for anyone else who will watch this, because I'm going to post it, once my book publishes and is all done, I'll be doing a lot more concise Zoom webinars and things of that sort for those who are interested. And we're going to continue to raise the world through ourselves, through improvement of self-awareness and health, and ensuring that your path of success is holistic in nature. But that's your choice. Some will just take the information and run with it and see what they can accomplish, while others will be able to walk this path and do even greater things. So we'll see. I'm extending my love to everybody, and I hope that your complications of daily life will reduce, and that you can work your way through some of these difficult waves and experiences, and find a healthy outcome, and be able to share that to help someone else who might be experiencing something similar. Because that's really what we're here for. We're here to help each other navigate what is really a difficult experience at times, but it's very joy-filled as well. You know, we're here to pick one another up, you know, give them a hope-filled word, and give them new skills and techniques to help them navigate, because we know what's behind us.